Mr. Kingston.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have some general comments. I have three problems with this bill, which I think many on our side share. Number one, we have not had hearings on it. This is an $800 billion bill. It's about the size of our annual discretionary budget, but no hearings. I'm not familiar with the economist, Mr. Zandi. I was very interested in the chairman's comments that Mr. Zandi made, but what a great opportunity to do what Mr. Obama had inspired all of us to do, was work together, put aside business as usual. What if we had 5 or 6 economists and lots of hearings that we could all kind of sharpen our swords on each other philosophically? What a lost opportunity to not have hearings. Number two, the jobs creation. Again, Mr. Obama kept saying the terms over the last 2 months, shovel-ready projects. I bought into it. I thought that was important, and yet as I see these numbers, according to my math, we're talking 13% of the bill for shovel-ready projects. That's 7% that can be spent this year. That's not going to put people to work, which is, of course, what we all want to do. The rest of this is in safety net and expansion of social programs. For some reasons are good, for some reasons aren't. The third problem, though, that I have and lots of concerns about is the national debt. Now, we all can point fingers as to who's responsible for it, but the fact is we're sitting on a national debt of $10.6 trillion. I have a handout that I think is making its way around the room, breaking down that figure. About 6.3 in public debt and about 4.3 in intergovernment debt. Last year alone, we added $2 trillion to the debt. $2 trillion in deficit, spending $1 trillion just since August. That's a huge amount of money when you consider that our annual deficits had been running $300 to $400 billion a year, and here we came in just a few months spent $1 trillion. A lot of this is owed to foreign governments. About half of it, in fact. 22% of that to China, 18% to Japan, 12% to UK. We should be concerned about that. The interest on this national debt alone is $140 billion a year. That's the size of the Labor, Health, and Human Services budget. Just the interest on the debt. Now think about all those education and health care programs. We're spending that much money just on interest on the debt, which doesn't help people, nor does it create a job. It's the size of the agriculture and interior bill combined. And that brings me to my concern as a ranking member of the agriculture. The spending on this bill for agriculture is about $26 billion. Now, according to my calculations, about 6% of that is for public works. Watershed, dam restoration, rural development, housing, federal facilities, some good stuff in there, but it's only $1.7 billion. The rest of it, are 94%, goes to expanding social programs and to corporate welfare. I'll give you an example, corporate welfare. Many of you know we have in the Ag Committee a broadband loan program, which we all have a lot of pride in. We had a lot of hearings on it. It's about a $400 million loan program and then about $13 million in grants. We are expanding that $6 billion. Now, I do want to ask my chairman, who knows how I have certain things about this that I'm concerned about, when we airdrop that money into the private coffers, we are going from a subsidized loan program to a grant program to private companies. That is corporate welfare at its worst. Now, when we do that, how do we keep that 50-year-old Wall Street retiree sitting on his mountaintop retirement resort? How do we know that the broadband just isn't going to go to him so that he can follow the daily stock prices? My chairman knows we had lots of debate on that, and I have a lot of concern about that. So I would ask my chairman that question. Also, why $6 billion? And also, why is half of this going to the National Telecommunications Information Administration, going out of agriculture? $2.5 billion goes out of ag into another committee. And I would like to ask my chairman, why do we do that? And then finally, how are we going to put all this money in there and get the private sector to still spend their own money? Because if I'm XYZ Corporation involved in broadband and the federal government's going to start granting me the money that I was doing with my own treasury, well, good gosh, I'm certainly going to let the taxpayers pay for what I was doing myself. So my question would also be to my chairman, how do we keep this from replacing private money? And then let me just talk a minute about the SNAP program, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. 13% increase. Now, this is the food stamp program.
Gentleman's time has expired.